break down the new patient thing. What I wanted to give you was like a back end of what happens. But let's say we're going to do our patient intake. So I'm breaking down the process into 4 components. And the first one is just the intake, where you're actually receiving their history, or whoever in your office is receiving their history. There's a lot of nuances that you can use in order to help this person to move on the trust line. And the thing is, this is like an 8-hour class. I'm trying to condense it. So I just picked 2 that I feel like are sort of intangibles but really important. And one is about presence. And Judy was trying to talk about this last night, about our ability to be present with ourselves, which is what allows us to be present with the people who come into our office. And it's so important. So let's say you're having a hard day. Let's say a lot's going on in your personal life. You know, you're worried about your team, or paying your bills, or you had a fight with your child, or things aren't going easy with your spouse. You have to divorce yourself from all of that, because this moment is so important to that person. So you have to figure out ways of state management, that's what Tony Robbins would call it, where you actually get out of the state of whatever you were in and really be present for this person. And I really think of a term called creating the space. It's really hard to teach somebody, but I think about it like there's this circle around me and this person where I'm going to receive them. I'm going to see them on many levels as deeply as I can and remove whatever blocks are there in order for them to be able to be free. And so it's so important that we just be present. And the other thing is about compassion. How many people sometimes find it difficult to be patient and kind and compassionate in their office? Thank you. Thank you for being honest. I love you, Simon. I find it really hard, and I think I am a very kind and compassionate person. It is something that is part of one of my highest values, not the highest, but one of my highest values is kindness and compassion. And so it's hard, though, because people are so messed up. And so if you can start to think about them like kindergartners or, the whacked out planet zombie, they're just different, and you got to help settle them. So I had this one patient who came, and she had fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue and every flippin' diagnosis you could imagine, and she's running from doctor to doctor, and I'm getting really frustrated with her because she's not listening to what I'm telling her, and she's not getting it. And a lot of times from the stage, we hear people say, "What do you hear? Next," right? How many people have ever heard that? Next. To me, that's an act of violence. You're dismissing someone in their current state of consciousness. I'm not saying that you should get pulled around by the nose by patients, but at the same time, people need you. So my mentor, Donnie Epstein, at the time, I was really starting to lose it with this person, which is unusual. And I called him, and I was like, thank goodness he took my phone call. And I was like, I am so annoyed. She's so annoying. Complaining. And he said, Pam, if you invested in the stock market and you lost, and then you invested in the stock market and you lost, and then you invested in the stock market and you lost, and then one more time you invested in the stock market and you lost again, and then somebody came up to you and said, have I got a deal for you? You'd be like, no, thank you. And what's happening is that people feel as if they've invested in their body and it has betrayed them. They can't see that they are the betrayer. They feel betrayed over and over again. And so you're like, the power that made the body heals the body. All healing comes from within. And they're like, you ain't seen this. And that's kind of what's happening for them. They don't really have what you have. They've lost it. And so you need to hold the space for them. And so sometimes I say to somebody, look, I get it. You're so deep in the hole, you can't see what I can see. But I got you. I am going to bring you up here, but it's going to take some time, one baby step at a time. But I promise you, you can have what everybody else in this office is having. You just can't see it right now because you're so deep in the hole. It's so important that we understand that it's not like we're in opposition to them, that we have something and they're saying no to it, and so we got to fight them or, leave them. That's not the way it is. We have to help them. We have to bring them up. This other woman came into my office one time, and she was like, I was doing the intake with her, and she said something like, well, I haven't taken a poop in 5 years, without taking some, I know, I was instantly like, ooh. But then she explained, much to my chagrin. I was amazed at what people would tell me, actually, when I first started practicing. But she she had to take some sort of laxative, and she hadn't been. And I said, oh, well, I'm curious. Like, what happened 5 years ago? Did anything happen physically, chemically, mentally, emotionally? And she said, well, my best friend died of colon cancer, and I was with them. I was helping them to pass over. And so I was like, whoa, okay, just wait. That one, we're going to, get that at a different time. I could just tell, like, just to receive it. I don't have to say anything about that. I said, I'm really sorry about your friend. And then I just waited. So a couple weeks went by. She was coming into the office, and so she approached me and said, Dr. Pam, I was wondering, what do you think about me going to get a colonoscopy? I was like, I don't know. It's not my thing. I have no idea. I don't have an idea about that. And I said, I don't know, but what do you think? Obviously, you have a thought about it. You're asking me. And she said, well, I just really wonder. Maybe something's going wrong. I'm not really sure. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, well, sounds like you're curious. And the thing about the United States is that they have amazing diagnostic tools. You don't have to do anything about that in that field, because she was afraid that it would get really invasive. I'm like, but maybe it would just be information that would be helpful and move you in a certain direction. It's energy. So, it kind of sounds like you know what you want to do. So she went and she got the test. She found out that she didn't have cancer, and from that day forward, pooped on her own. Totally fine. And so she said to me, my other chiropractor that I went to started to yell at me and say, what are you doing? Do you know what that test does? And scared the heck out of her. And so she didn't do it. And so I really want to ask you, are there ways that you do not honor the innate intelligence of the person who's in front of you because you think you know more? And now when people ask me questions, should I exercise? Like, I don't know. How would I know? I'm out here. So I can give you some information that you can integrate and try and make a decision. But usually in the beginning of care, people are so disconnected with whatever force lives inside them. I'm like, I think the best thing you can do is keep getting adjusted, because then the more you do that, the more you're going to know the Dr. You that lives inside you, which is so much more powerful. Okay, thank you. That's a wrap.